Hi, I'm Greg Burnett, 38 years old from Vineland, Ontario. I'm the president of Niagara Outdoor Landscaping. At Niagara Outdoor, we are passionate about designing and building functional and beautiful outdoor living spaces that families will enjoy season to season and year after year. We strive to operate with honesty and integrity and be professional in every aspect of our company. I'm a hardscaper.
Welcome to the I Am a Hardscaper series on the How to Hardscape podcast, where we sit down and interview hardscape business owners and do a deep dive on how they became a hardscaper and how they operate their business. I just want to say thank you for continuing to listen to the How to Hardscape podcast, and if you have any ideas for episode topics or business owners that we need to interview or questions that we are missing in these interviews, reach out to us on our social channels. We are at How to Hardscape on Facebook, Instagram. Shoot me a message there. I'd love to hear from you. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. All right, Greg, let's get to know a little bit more about yourself, how you got started in this industry. Let's get a little bit of context going for our audience. How did you get started in the industry? What led you to today in starting your business, or actually been operating your business for some time now?
Yeah, so I actually got started doing hardscaping when I was traveling Australia. I was in Canberra, Australia, of all places. I was there for a year. And a friend got me a job working with him at a landscape company. We were laying pavers, on a sidewalk for government contracts, and we're actually installing the pavers on a poured concrete base. I was either running a table saw or, laying the pavers. Canberra's, the capital of Australia and not the place, most people go when they travel there. And it was actually a pretty cool place to work. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, let's set that up. Why did you go to Australia? Was that one of those work visas that you went over for?
Exactly. Yeah. It was a working holiday visa. So you could kind of, travel, but they wanted you to, move around the country and couldn't be at one place more than 3 months. So I was there for 3 months at this landscape company. And yeah, it was pretty neat. They had these hot air balloons that came up every morning. And that kind of made me realize that, yeah, like being outside, I wasn't kind of fit for an office. Right.
Definitely. This is actually an interesting kind of a start to somebody in the industry. I haven't heard this, who is actually, somebody who's actually gone overseas to develop their hardscape sort of context here. So I want to stick on this for a bit if I can.
Sure.
What kind of differences did you see in Australia with like the hardscape installation process? How did that differ to where you come back to North America?
Yeah, so like I touched on, we were actually in this specific job. It was a major project, and we were laying pavers actually on the concrete base, right? So it's not something that we do often in our everyday work here now, right? So that was interesting. I thought the hours of work there was interesting. We kind of started super early, and then but we were done the day at like 3 or 3:30 because it was so hot there, right? So you kind of still had the day to, the afternoon to kind of live your life. And now it's like, yeah, getting started in our business, you're working until the sun goes down, right? So
definitely. Did you see lots of paver projects there? Were pavers pretty popular there in terms of a pavement solution?
They were. Yeah, they were. Like I said, I was only on there kind of a short window of time there with that 3 month kind of period. So didn't get to too much stuff there. I was on that project pretty much for the whole duration of my time. And, yeah, it was a good experience.
Nice. And then so you come back to Canada. What leads you to today in operating your business? What were the kind of next steps once you came back from Australia?
So I did a year of college there, small business and entrepreneurship at Mohawk College. And that summer, a buddy of mine, I grew up with, played hockey with, we'd worked at just a small pool company together in previous years as we were younger. He reached out to me. We both didn't have summer jobs. So yeah, we decided to throw some grass cutting equipment in the back of a truck and give it a whirl.
So you start on like the kind of landscaping side of things and then slowly transition to hardscaping, or how did that kind of progress?
Yeah, we just started strictly cutting grass. We did that for the first year. And then, yeah, the next year we kind of started bringing on some people to help us to kind of keep up with the demand. I was just going to say that was 15 years ago, right? So that was 2007. Yeah. So we're celebrating 15 years in business this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that business progress from the time you started to the time today where you're taking on much more intricate projects with these outdoor living spaces? Where does that kind of transition happen in your business?
Yeah, it took a lot of time, obviously. Like I said, the next year we kind of added one guy, and then then we kind of decided, okay, we need a 2-man grass cutting crew, and my business partner and I each kind of took one guy and went with someone. My business partner, I mean, he's never had social media or any of that stuff before, so I mean, he's equally as important to kind of getting us where we are today. We complement each other pretty good. We each got our strong suits, right? So makes it work. I guess, adding kind of our first designer estimator was a huge change for us. You're kind of putting trust in someone, and we kind of quickly realized that she was putting out these estimates that I was used to doing that sales process with clients, and now all of a sudden someone else is doing that, right? So putting that trust in someone to do that was a big step for us. She did a heck of a job. You could clearly tell she knew her stuff, right? Coming from a big landscape company, and us, we were pretty small at the time, right? Maybe at that point we had 5 people, and that was, I think, she's been with us for 7 years. So that was probably one of the biggest things in our company.
Okay, so then today, do you still have that lawn and landscape crew? Do you still operate that? What does the business look like today, if you can kind of draw us a picture?
Yeah, so we no longer do grass cutting. We stopped that, I think, in 2019. So about 2 years removed for that. And we have a crew of 5 crews, 4 construction crews. They're all 3-man crews, and 1 carpentry crew consisting of 2 guys. We have myself, my business partner, and 2 designer estimators in the office there. So yeah, about a team of 20.
And then if we can get into partnerships a little bit, because that's an interesting topic. Partnerships can be difficult to manage at times. Can you talk about why you think your partnership has worked the way it has over these many years? What do you two kind of complement each other on? If you can get into that a little bit.
Yeah, so he's always been kind of more focused on, the bookkeeping, the accounting side of things. And I've been, handling, meeting with the clients and, the sales process at the start, right? So yeah, we each had our kind of strengths there. I mean, I was a little more outgoing, I feel like, at the start as we were growing up. Now Trevor's come out of his shell, and he's equally kind of, talking to clients and engaging with people there all the time too, right? So we've kind of grown together, and it's been good, and I'm glad I've kind of embarked down this adventure with him. I probably might have given up if I was on my own. I just want to thank my business partner's dad, Peter. We've been lucky to have him. He's helped us so much getting to where we are now, getting this business off the ground. He fixes everything we break. He manages our yard. Every year he's allowed us to take out our row of plum trees to help expand our, build our lot or build our office, whatever it may be. So we're kind of, miles ahead thanks to him. And we're just, blessed to have good families that have been supportive, wives that put up with the stupid hours we put in over the years. And can't do it alone, right?
No, that's great to hear. And when it comes to, you mentioned that that kind of turning point in your business, you hire that designer, and that's a tricky thing to do, because you're kind of giving your company's vision to somebody else to put these projects into fruition. That design process is a tough one to kind of hand off to somebody, especially if you're used to doing the designs. What was the process in deciding to go with a designer as your next hire? Was there like a moment in time where you decide, you know what, the designer is our next hire, and why is that? Why was it a designer as opposed to maybe like a salesperson or anything like that?
Yeah, I guess we just kind of felt the need to bring someone in. She had kind of done some stuff on the side for us as a designer. We were kind of getting into these projects where they required landscape designs, and she had done it kind of on the side for us while she was kind of at her other job. And we just kind of the demand of, hey, we need to kind of have a design and a plan for these projects that we're doing now, right? So we quickly realized, when she came aboard, that you're not probably charging enough, right? So I mean, that shifted the way you kind of do business.
You mentioned you also have like 3-person crews. You have 5 crews. Can you explain a little bit how they're organized, and do different crews do different things, or are they all pretty much taking care of a complete job site from start to finish? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so currently there are three main crews. We got a foreman, lead hand, and a laborer on each crew. And we kind of toyed the idea of having like a planting, lighting, finishing crew, but the logistics of kind of rolling that out, we kind of haven't perfected that yet. So they are kind of handling all the same type of projects. Um, but yeah, every employee that's come through our door and helped us to get where we are now, those guys and girls in our field, they're the backbone of our business, and we're nothing without them. They show up and grind it out in this labor intensive work, and we do our best to invest in the right. Yeah, blabbing on here, but like,
No.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm getting lost from your question there, but yeah.
No, not at all. That's great. Like, obviously, you take great pride in your team and the people that you bring on, and you talked about how they show up, they grind out there for you. That takes a lot for somebody to not only these days show up to a job, but to also work hard for you, for the company. That takes culture. That takes people believing in a business. How do you feel you've kind of helped to create that and to get this team buy-in at Niagara Outdoor?
Yeah, it starts with showing up every day, right? Showing up on time. And we've kind of weeded out the guys that are kind of strolling in late, right? So, everyone sees that. I hear like Zeppa's, they're doing this roll call every morning where, yeah, you're kind of spitting out everyone's name. So you better be there at 7 o'clock, right? That's something we're talking about rolling out this year, right? So just, yeah, any kind of little thing that you can do to show these guys that you care about them, right? Like, just being there. I'm the one opening the gate every morning, right? So, it's yeah, it's been fun to kind of watch them grow with us, and care as much about it as we do, right? It's probably kind of formed this kind of family, right? So it's been good.
Yeah, I mean, it's those little things, those little actions that really build up, especially coming from the president, the owner, the operator, that really kind of leads by example. When it comes to hiring, what have been some key hires that have helped you scale your business to those multiple crews? Especially, after that designer comes on board, where does your business go from there in terms of strategically hiring in your business?
Yeah, I mean, the foremen are the key part of kind of every crew, right? So having the right person that, understands, how to manage people, has a good, experience, and knows what they're doing as far as the construction work that we're doing, right? Just to be able to lead that crew and take that plan that you give them, and bring it to life, right? So I think the foremen are super important there.
Have you promoted within for those foreman positions? Have you sought out outside people coming in as foremen? How has that worked for you?
Yeah, we do our best to promote from within. Yeah, example, last year we hired a guy we thought was going to do it, and turns out he wasn't the right guy. And yeah, one of our guys, he stepped up to the plate, and he became that kind of third crew foreman. And then we added a fourth crew last year, and he was a guy, when we interviewed him, he said, "Oh, I don't want the stress of being a foreman." And sure enough, we ended up getting him in there, and he was the foreman, and he did super. Yeah.
So what qualities do you look for in a person to decide, what, this person can be promoted to foreman, or this person's ready for that sort of challenge of becoming a foreman? How do you identify that in your business, in a person?
Yeah, I don't think you gotta ask the questions and just relate to them as humans in the interview, and get a better sense for them, and what their personal goals are, and the life experiences they've had to kind of land you in your office there for that interview. You never quite know what they're capable of doing, right? They could say the sky's the limit what they've done, but until you actually see them out there doing it, you don't never really know. So it's, yeah, just kind of a judgment in character when you're talking to those people, and asking the right questions to get a better understanding for them as a person, right?
As we get into how your business has evolved, I'm sure the way you get leads into your business has evolved. What do leads coming into your business look like today? Like, where are these leads coming from you today? And if you can sort of touch on that.
Yeah, so they're all generally coming through our website. They're driven kind of through our site. It started out when we were doing when we were getting the leads, they were coming from word of mouth, friends, family kind of thing, right? But that we had a partnership when we first kind of got started. we did a project for a garden center, a local garden center, and it was like our second year in business or third year in business. We were probably over our head, and we they wanted to build this outdoor garden display center. They wanted to start selling landscape products. So, we took the job on for them and didn't know what we were doing. They wanted a water feature kind of thing, right? So, I asked some guys and got him kind of a local landscaper that was specialized in ponds, got him involved. We ended up, knocking that one out of the park and turned out to be great. And we ended up getting tons of leads from that. So kind of getting that partnership. We still do business with them today. So that was huge. But yeah, now people are contacting us from having a good web presence, and yeah, a lot of those leads, either they're going through the website and filling out the form, which is helpful. In the last year with the demand, we found that it was a struggle to keep up with the leads that come in, right? Someone's in the office spending 2 hours a day dealing with those incoming leads and getting back to people right away, right? So trying to, I think Sean from Premier said it, he's trying to eliminate the phone number from my website. So people are contacting you through the web, right? So they're messaging them on Instagram. So yeah, trying to kind of eliminate that and drive people to our site, and then they have to go through the process of filling out our web form and kind of helps qualify those leads, right?
Yeah, definitely. With that lead form, what do you have there that they need to fill out? What kind of like crucial information? Like, do you ask them for the budget on that lead form, or do you wait for that when you actually contact them?
Yeah, so the budget is one of the drop down menus on our form. Other things that are on that, I guess, kind of allows them to upload pictures or drawings and write a description of their work they're doing, kind of how they heard about us. Yeah.
So then, what does an ideal Niagara outdoor project look like? If a lead comes in, what is the ideal project that you want to take on in your business, whether that's the most profitable or where you want to go and continue to be doing with each and every client?
Yeah, I think we've drilled into ourselves, anyone that's meeting with clients or doing sales is, is it something that we can help build our portfolio, right? Like we want it to have some, creative elements, some cool elements as far as, water features or fire features or putting greens or outdoor kitchens, kind of new stuff maybe we haven't done before, or, getting a little more creative in the design. So, working with clients that are kind of open to doing that stuff. We're not, I guess, I shouldn't say not the most creative, but like, people like, Rich from RC Outdoor or Sean at Premier, those guys are, pumping out these super creative, and they're kind of almost, I'm, steering the customers down their direction in the work that they want to do. And, maybe we've been kind of a little more laid back at doing that and doing more conservative plans. Right. So yeah, pushing the envelope on some of that creative stuff is something that we're looking to do as well.
Gotcha. So a lead reaches out to you, they've filled out your contact form. Where do you take that from there? Do you have somebody that contacts them on the phone? Do you reply with an email? Where does that kind of process start from that initial contact point?
So they've contacted us, whether it's phone or email. Let's say they've gone through the web. We'd respond with an email. It's kind of all tracked through our CRM software. We're using LMN, and they would set up a time for a phone call with them. And then, yeah, during that phone call, you're going through and asking kind of all the questions to make sure they are this ideal client that you're going after, right? So
you've called them, you've asked them some more questions, you're setting up a consultation. What do you charge for that initial consultation? Yes or no, and why?
Yeah, so it's been a topic of discussion this winter. There, I see a number of people doing it. I think it's a kind of a new and upcoming thing, but we don't charge for the consultation now. But a lot of people doing this, yeah, $100 fee, and maybe it's going back to a charity or something like that. I can definitely see us kind of implementing that soon. We do charge for all our landscape design, so we're not doing a project without a landscape design. We just kind of implemented that we're doing 3D designs as part of that too, right? So again, you're putting that work out there, you're doing that work, 3D design, you've already done all the hard stuff, you're just kind of bringing it to life and making it look pretty, and it helps them understand, hey, that deck that I'm going to spend $20,000, that's what it looks like, or whatever it may be, right? So it's been a good tool to add that 3D stuff, and yeah, it's working out.
So before you go out and actually meet with a client for that consultation, which is taking up your time, What questions are you asking them on the phone to, make sure that this might be the ideal client for you? Like, besides what your contact form asks, what are you asking them on the phone to, make sure that this is a client that you want to give a little bit of your time to for that initial consultation?
Yeah, I think you're trying to understand how they want to utilize their space, their vision, their wants and needs. I guess understanding their style and their taste, right? To see, is it super modern, a little more contemporary, and yeah, obviously their budget. It's an important question. We aren't going to design a yard that's not realistic to the money they plan to spend, and we want to respect their budget and kind of work around it. I guess sometimes it's not within it, but yeah, around it, right? So. Um, and then I guess importantly now is the timeline, right? As we are now telling new leads, we can't get to them jobs until 2023 at this point, right? So it's it's sometimes it's when are you willing to get the work done? Because that's when we can do it, right? So.
Definitely. And then transferring to you're actually on site with them and doing that consultation. What kind of questions are you asking them to know, what's going to go into that design, or what are they trying to get out of their space? How do you lead that initial consultation to actually know what you're going to go back to on the drawing board and to complete a design for them?
Yeah, I think understanding, the yard that you're working in, the drainage, taking accurate measurements. I mean, all our crews and our designers all have zip levels, so they're taking grades when they're there to save a trip, kind of going back, right? They're checking out neighboring properties. They're looking at the sight lines. They're trying to picture everything on site that you could kind of possibly need to take apart and use your design and make it functional, right? So when you get to the plants, asking them what colors they like, or what plants do they the 100% don't want in their yard, right? So
yeah, absolutely. All right, so then you've got the design made for them. Do you have a payment structure for clients in terms of paying for the design, paying to get onto your schedule, progress payments throughout that project? Do you have a set payment plan structure for clients? Does it vary from project to project? Can you get into that?
Yeah, so I mean, design work typically starts around $1,800, but then they pay 50%, and then we send out a design contract before we even go and meet with them on site, right? So yeah, they don't quite. Sorry, the first time I guess when we go there and we're meeting with them, we're doing the initial consult, and then we come back and we're doing the sending out the price, right? We're saying the design is going to cost you X amount, and sending off a contract. They're going to sign the contract, then we kind of start the work, right? So as far as the payment of the project, they would require a 25% deposit at signing, 35% the day we show up on site to start building the project, and then progress payments throughout the project based on the scope, kind of as items are completed.
I asked this next question right after that payment plans, because a lot of the times the story is around payments, and that is a horror story. So you've been in business for a long time. I'm sure you've experienced one or two of these in your time, but do you have a horror story that you'd want to share with our audience that you experienced, just to help, especially new contractors coming into the space, to know what to look out for with the client, or to implement in their business to maybe prevent a horror story from happening? But do you have a horror story here that you'd want to share with us?
Yeah, so I was kind of racking my brain as to kind of whether it's a faulty, a failed payment, or what kind of horror story we had. And they talk about maybe some accidents over the years you think about, but like I think the one horror story that kind of came to my mind was in 2019. It was our last year of lawn cutting, and one of my crews were driving between sites, and it came to a stop sign. They're driving this pickup truck with like a long 20-foot trailer, and there was an elderly gentleman, 75 years old, out pushing his lawnmower in the street from the backyard to the side yard. It's a corner lot. And my guys are at the stop sign. They noticed him walking up towards the right side of the trailer, pushing his mower. And I guess the gentleman just kept walking between the trailer and the curb. Don't my guys make a left turn, and the back end of the trailer just swings out and bumps the mower, knocks the gentleman over. And, my guys phoned me right away. And of course, the first thing, guys, I got a lawsuit on my mind or something like that, right? And at first he just had a scrape on his leg, and this is kind of when COVID just started, so he's reluctant to go to the hospital. and doesn't he go the next day and turns out he had a broken leg, right? So, everything's racing through my mind. And, this gentleman, he lived with his daughter. I went to the house. I sat down with them after he'd been to the hospital, just chatted with them. And it was, being human, right? Just kind of understanding what was going on. My guy was beside himself that had done it, right? I think they saw that in him. And yeah, just talking it through them with him, and turns out, he needed a ride to go to a couple checkup appointments. My dad actually drove him there. We ended up, cutting the grass for them for the rest of that year. We really made the best of a terrible situation, and pretty well became friends. A little reminder to have faith in humanity. And just before Christmas, they hired us to do a landscape lighting install for them, and his daughter is, often connecting and, commenting through our social media. So it's, made the best of a terrible situation, right?
Wow, yeah, that's actually really incredible. Especially like your mindset around that, making the best out of a terrible situation, definitely shows what goes with that mindset. But also, sitting down face to face and working a problem out with somebody, definitely a great story. How about on the job site? Do you have any installation practices that you live by? Anything that you've learned throughout the years in terms of installation that your business lives by on site?
So when we started, we were always kind of doing the traditional kind of ICPI rules as far as, what stone you're using, and had the fines in it and compacting. We recently switched to open graded in 2020, mainly because we thought it would improve the longevity and the performance of the poly sand, right? Figured, the less moisture closer to the surface, would allow that sand to bond better and be longer lasting. I think the sand is like our biggest issue, over the years. And that's what kind of has caused pavers to get a bad rap, 20 years ago. Obviously poor installation, but then that, like most recently, is just the sand, right? Mossy sand, or, sand doesn't harden, right? So we just thought that was, a change that would help that. And it's been 2 years and we've had some good results with that. We use quarter chip as a bedding layer. Geotextiles, we use them. We use GeoGrid for doing, retaining walls or doing driveways.
Nice. And then you've already mentioned a tool like the zip level and how that's really helped you in terms of getting elevations and getting that design done. Any other tools or pieces of equipment that you live by in your business that you couldn't live without, or tools that really just change the way in which you operate your business and operate installations?
Yeah, I think in the last few years, kind of the paver backs have helped, right? Like whether it's kind of one guy's using there, the T handle, or it's hooked up to a mini X. If you're doing a driveway and can swing it around, like, we got to work smarter, not harder, right? So that stuff's been great. We just purchased one of those kind of Weber compactors with the roller wheels for consolidating the sand, and we had a few pavers break and past bigger slabs, so it's helped with that. Having the right equipment for the job, those compact equipment to get in those tight spots. We got a number of MT 55s, Mini X, skid steer, right? So, yeah.
Nice. And then anybody that you'd want to give a shout out here on this episode, whether that's people offline, people online that you look for inspiration, that you connect with, anybody here that's kind of helped you along the way in terms of your business that you'd want to give a shout out here?
Yeah, I mean, we had some local guys that have helped us, whether that's Bosma, Raymar. So he was the guy who helped me with that pond when we were first getting started. More recently there, it's all been through social media there in the last couple of years, right? It's Rich from RC Outdoor and Sean, like I mentioned before, that are just pushing the envelope for design and pumping out content. Matt from Heiner Outdoor Living. There's a new kid on the block, landscaping, with Dylan, the guy. He's been just super creative with the reels, and we've been chatting together. I wish I knew a little bit more about editing, right? But I joined the masterminds community there, headed by Jack from Imagine last year. It's been great, just kind of asking a group for their input when you come across something you haven't done before. Bouncing ideas back and forth. Someone like Vaughn and Co. is doing interior work, and the direction they're headed, is similar to us. We don't do snow plowing, so just to bridge that gap, that's 2 to 3 months in the winter. And then Antonio from Zeppa's and this Mike at Elevate. We just had a call the other night through Zoom, and we're sharing information with each other to help each other be more successful, right? So Yeah, and all these people I've named right here aren't even in my own country, right? So it's amazing how we can connect through social media.
Definitely, definitely. And that brings me to my next point. My next question, which is a big one, Greg. What is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew from the very start when you first started your business? What is that one thing that you know now that you wish you knew from the very beginning?
Yeah, so I think I touched on it before. When we hired our first estimator, we realized that for years we hadn't been charging enough for our services. When we started growing, at first we were, hesitant to allow someone to make, someone else do a difficult paver on a cut or whatever it was. You knew, if you did it yourself, it would be done the right way, right? So I guess if I would have realized that a little earlier, we would have been a little further ahead now. Basically, I think, now it's, comes down to being a great leader as we continue to grow here. Right now we're not so much looking to add all these new crews. We're already booked out for the entire season, but we're focused on being more efficient. Focus on more one-on-one time with my team members, training, anything that can help strengthen our team and improve our profit margins and our bottom line.
Kind of going off that, when you set a goal like improving efficiency in your business, how do you go, like, what's the action plan that goes into improving efficiency? Like, what areas do you look at? What do you try to implement in your business to improve those efficiencies?
Yeah, so the time tracking. I mean, yeah, labor hours are the biggest thing, right? So yeah, we're tracking those times through LMN time, and putting pictures on the site so we can refer back to things, and the guys just reviewing the time. So you got that kind of dashboard with that target goal and for the hours, and the guys can see that. We give them the whole job package, and yeah, them hitting those goals. You miss it, you got to review it. So setting those goals, this is what your goal is for that job, and then actually reviewing it, right, is important, right? So we haven't done that for every single job, but again, that's our goal now, is to kind of hire someone in the office this year that can manage the office. We haven't had anyone doing that. Our designers have always been answering the phone, and that's been a big time killer for them. So allow them to kind of focus on their job and have someone that can review this stuff on a more daily basis, essentially, right? So
Definitely, yeah, huge points there, and obviously a software helps with all that and all that time tracking. Greg, where can our audience learn more about you, what you've got going on over there?
Yeah, our website, niagaraoutdoor.com, Instagram, Facebook, it's Twitter, Niagara Outdoor. Need to get going on some of that YouTube stuff, right? So don't have that quite yet, but hopefully that's to come soon.
Definitely. Greg, thank you so much for your time here.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. Go check out Greg at Niagara Outdoor on Instagram. Show him some love for coming on the show. And we'd love it if you reached out to us on our social channels, again, at How to Hardscape on Facebook and Instagram. Shoot us a message, give us some feedback, let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. I'd love to hear from you. And we look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.